Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism, and this video is sponsored by contribution from the Princess. And Princess has written in a few stories. She's got another one here, so let's hear what she has to say. Hi, Ollie. I just finished the other story. I felt compelled to finish another. So my mom followed the sleep deprivation handbook to the letter. Vacuuming and slamming the vacuum into our doors on early on Saturday, Sunday mornings, slamming dishes in the kitchen, starting fights first thing in the morning. If you were sick, she didn't care. You better be up doing something. If you were napping, she'd start screaming about something. And this is something I have talked about repeatedly on the channel. This is one of the tactics that my mother did, that she learned from her mother, that so many of you have dealt with, especially if you've come home late from work, or God forbid you were out with friends late. They would make it a point to fuck with your sleep, to start problems with you first thing in the morning, to wake you out of a dead sleep, screaming, hitting you, the vacuuming, the slamming, the turning off of fans, air conditioners, slamming windows shut, throwing windows open, just slamming your drawers, like anything to disrupt your sleep patterns. My ex-wife also, she was a huge slammer. She was, not a vacuumer. I mean, I don't even think she even knew how to turn the fucking vacuum on, to be honest with you. But the rest of it, the slamming drawers and cabinets and the like, yeah, that she could do. Cleaning, on the other hand, not so much. The vacuum, ooh. Except for my brother. The golden child was allowed to nap and sleep, as was my brother Precious. You didn't disturb Precious. Otherwise, you got Precious's wrath, which for some reason, up until the point where I moved out, they were afraid of. Once I moved out and they didn't have that supply, then not so much. Then they weren't so afraid of him anymore. Weird. Mind you, she didn't care if you were working late or if you were up late doing their shit. They never do. They never do. It's all stuff we had to deal with, so nothing new there. However, this story is something I haven't heard before anyone else experiencing, and I'm curious to hear your insight on this one. So some backstory. In my teenage years, my mother kept telling me I told her this and I told her that. Her usual crazy stuff, but starting to get oddly specific. She was telling people that I told her my boyfriend at the time was hitting me. He was a lot of things, but he never raised a hand to me. I never ever said he hit me. She would randomly flip out on things she said. I told her. I'd be confused, not sure where it was coming from. Some things I was like, I would never tell her that. Most stuff wasn't true. It sounded like her crazy nonsense. Yeah, well, what she's doing is she's feigning this good parent routine, and at the same time calling you a bad child. You can't be trusted to find your own mate, to find your own boyfriend, to find your own spouse. That's what's going on here. And at the same time, she gets to gaslight you the whole time. Like, I never told you that. She would tell me, you told me X, Y, and Z. But what she told me didn't sound like something I would say. Phrasing, word choice, all off. Besides that, it wasn't something I knew or thought. It wasn't something I knew or thought or whatever. I would insist that wasn't something I'd say and would have no reason to say it. Not only did I call her out, but others did too. It didn't sound like me, right? Because, look, the boomer, and we're talking about, once again, another boomer, okay? The boomer embellishes everything. The boomer twists everything, and so does the narcissist, to fit their narrative. Listen, the boomer is always building a negative narrative against you. Always. So however they got to do it, if they got to twist stories, embellish stories, make shit up, it's all in their playbook. They will do it without a second thought. because they're always building a negative narrative against you. I remember her telling someone that that they didn't know me as well as she does. I jump in and said, "No, I don't talk like that. I don't say things that way. I don't know where you're getting this, but it's not for me." I felt like I was going crazy. Was my memory that shit? Is there something wrong with me? No, of course not. No, because listen, you've been dealing with this abuse from her, your mother, your entire life. So she has a certain control over your thinking patterns, making you think you said things you didn't say. And I'm going to go back to the same story I've told here like 1,000 times, where the first time I realized that there was something wrong in my family with my mother. I got home, and I must have been 4 or 5 years old, and my mother started hitting me. And she was accusing me of calling me back to come home, and hearing my friends tell me that your mother's calling me, and I said I'm just going to ignore it and act like I didn't hear it. At 4 years old. And my mother beat me because I didn't know what she was talking about. I heard you say it, and I heard Peter Gallo say this to you, and you said, no, I'm just going to act like I didn't hear it, and then say I didn't hear you. And I'm like, how, like, Peter Gallo, we were playing at the corner. I had to be 200 yards away from where we were playing to where I lived. 150 yards. Okay, this isn't something she could have heard from our house. If my mother, like, I could hear her screaming and calling me. Okay, she wouldn't be able to hear conversation. She wouldn't be able to hear it from a 4-year-old at that distance. And I'm thinking, like, how could we, like, and she was insistent, and I'm like, did this happen? Did this happen? And I just, and she wouldn't stop hitting me until I admitted it. Oh. It's those moments that break you. The moment you were broken. The moment, like, where to be able to plant that seed in your mind that you can't even trust your own memories from 5 minutes ago. I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. To this day, I don't know what the fuck she was talking about. Why? Because she made it up. And I called her on it years ago. I called her on it. And she didn't, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, now you don't want to know what I'm talking about. She knew exactly what I was talking about. Whether or not she remembered the specific incident, she knew what her tactic was. To accuse you of shit they knew you didn't do. And then to force you to admit to it. Is there something wrong with me? She kept insisting we were having these full-blown conversations, which should have been a red flag since she doesn't do conversation. She talks at you. Like, pretty much the same thing. Like, this is completely foreign to any type of other interaction we have with each other. What are you talking about? But they were insistent until you admit to it. Because once you admit to something that they know is a lie and you know is a lie, but they can force you to admit to it, they own you. Especially at a young age like that. I figured it was just her being crazy and imagining these conversations and making up shit, which she is known to do. I was a notoriously heavy sleeper in my younger days. I'd be blissfully dead to the world. Also during this time, I also kept having these weird dreams where someone was talking to me, asking me all sorts of questions, like I was getting interrogated in a movie. It was soft and quiet, questions and questions and questions. Did you go here? Did so-and-so say this? Did you have sex with your boyfriend? Did your father take you here? What time did you get home last night? When I would wake up, I couldn't remember all the questions asked. Just the feeling that I've been questioned. And the questions were personal to me. It was just really weird. It felt off. So your mother was probably talking to you in your sleep, asking you questions. And my mother would do the same thing. My mother would talk at any. She would talk to my question my father in his sleep, and she would do it to me in my sleep. But because my mother was so fucking violent towards me, so she wouldn't get violent towards my father necessarily, unless they were in a full-on fight. Because I told the story where she pulled the fucking sword on him, held it to my throat as he held my brother on the other side of the French door, and like, open the door or I'll kill your kid. And he's like, that's all right, I got this one here. This is the one I care about. Oh, I hope you're fucking burning, Laura. I really do. I hope you're burning. Fucking drunkie. Ain't no vodka in hell, I bet. It was just really weird. It felt off. I would just feel so unsettled after these dreams. I remember looking up in a dream book what this recurring dream could mean, and I didn't see anything that fit. So I just went on with life with these weird reoccurring dreams, and mom telling me all these things I'm saying in our conversations. I truly thought I was crazy, or she was crazier than we all thought. I started to become scared that maybe I'm becoming crazy like mom. Then one day I'm fast asleep, dead to the world. Once again, I'm having that dream. The soft, quiet voice asking me question after question. But this time, and this is really weird, a voice in my head very, very loudly said very, very loudly, wake up, wake up. I blink my eyes and I'm facing the closet. My first thought was something along the lines like, great, voices in my head. I'm going crazy. Even facing away from the windows, I could tell it's still dark out, but it's starting to get lighter. I noticed that the hallway night light lightly illuminated my bedroom door, which was ajar, and that struck me as weird. I always sleep with the door closed. Behind me, I hear the voice asking me another question. I froze. I remember lying there for a few minutes, eyes wide open, holding my breath. I hear another question. I can't believe this is happening. What the hell is going on? Yeah, your mother's questioning you in your sleep. Another question. I'm awake and someone is in my room asking me questions. It's not in my head. It's not a dream. I leaped out of bed, turned around, and there's my mom. She jumped, surprised I was actually awake. And I'm now screaming and cursing at the top of my lungs. Get the fuck out of my room. What the hell is this? What the fuck? What the fuck? She actually says to me, it's my house. I'm just screaming, get out, get out, get out. I woke up the house. The others came in to see what was going on, and I had to explain what her creepy ass was doing, and she's been doing it for years. I'm screaming that I'm not crazy. I told you guys I'm not crazy. Get her out. Dad told me to calm down. The end of that story is that I overreacted. Yeah, of course it is. You're always overreacting. Once the boomer's caught, you're overreacting. You're always overreacting when you catch the boomer in their bullshit. Always. So for years, my mom had been creeping into my room in the middle of the night and interrogating me, making me think I was crazy, gaslighting me. Looking back, I underreacted. Dad underreacted. After that night, I was no longer a heavy sleeper. I became a paranoid sleeper. I would sleep in bits and spurts. Any noise would fully wake me up. I only really deep sleep when I'm alone, and I really don't deep sleep. And listen, you can ask Charlene what I'm like when I sleep. It's violent. It's violent. I'm constantly talking. I'm constantly yelling in my sleep. I jump up. I spin around. It is a fucking workout. It is a workout in my sleep. It is not a good experience. It really isn't. Sometimes I wake myself up with my own yelling. Like it's crazy. I mean, it's funny to her. It's funny to us now, because now she'll like sometimes ask me questions back. Not that she's questioning me. She'll be like, "Oh, really? Like really?" And then what happened? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't even talk. I sleep like an angel, like a cherub, like a little cherubly angel that just sleeps so peacefully, and then I go back to sleep, and it starts all over again. I became a paranoid sleeper. I sleep in bits and bursts, in spurts, as do I. Like I am up a million times in the night. I'm back. I'm forth. I'm up. I'm down. That's why sometimes you see me. If you follow my Twitter, you see me like posting just at weird ass times. All like it's like, when do you sleep? I'm like, I sleep a couple times during the day. I sleep at night. Like it's not a fun experience. Any noise would fully wake me up. Only really deep. I only really deep sleep when I'm alone. I started doing something I call dozing, where I'm half asleep, half awake. I'm conscious of what's going on around me, but I'm sort of sleeping, like being right on the edge of sleeping, but not letting myself cross over to 100% sleep. I can snap awake at any sound. I ended up booby trap booby trapping the room so that the door wouldn't open or make noise. We weren't allowed locks on the door, so I would shove clothes against the door so it couldn't open. I put a crutch in front of my door. I used to put a crutch under my doorknob, and they could not get through that thing. She tried. She could not get through it. She tried a bunch of times after that to sneak into my room in the middle of the night, but because I made it hard to open the door, I believe I caught her every time after that. When I caught her, I'd get loud and tell her to get out and go back to bed. I don't recall having that dream again after that night. Now, you think about how dedicated they have to be. How dedicated that your abuser, your mother, my mother, and others like them have to be, that they are getting up in the middle of the night with the intention to get information that they could fuck with you with. Think about that level of dedication. Think about that level of commitment to destroying you. And then these boomers will go out and make YouTube channels how they're the fucking victims. Talk to you about, oh, I wasn't the perfect parent, but I was still a wonderful parent. You weren't shit. Mom made us think about the door being jammed just in case of a fire. I just laughed her off. I risk it. Around this time, I came up with the catchphrase, crazy people will make you crazy. If you're asking why in my dream I didn't recognize my mother's voice, even in my room that night, I didn't recognize her voice. She never talked all soft and quiet. It was always loud, snide, or nasty, or all three. Before I jumped out of bed, I truly thought a stranger was in my room. Never dawned on me the level of crazy and creepy she was at. Another question you might ask is if I talk in my sleep. I highly doubt that I ever talked in my sleep. The only thing I might do in my sleep is mumble, based on what other people have told me. You probably do talk in your sleep, and that's not a bad, but that is a reaction of her. Listen, I just told you I talk. I talk, I have conversations, I yell. And I understand it. My conversations and what I'm yelling about, it's never a good thing. I am constantly in battle in my sleep. Constantly. And know what the weird thing is? I couldn't tell you what I dream about. I haven't been able to remember a dream in I can't tell you how long. Years. This is only one example of how my mom is creepy crazy towards me. Crazy people will make you crazy. I appreciate your thoughts on this. Thanks for all you do. The princess. Well, look, the boomer is never going to stop building a negative narrative against you. And if they have to go to you and question you in your sleep to do it, they're going to do it. There is nothing that is out of bounds. There is no boundary with these people. The level of commitment to get up in the middle of the night to question you for information that they could use against you is batshit. And you're right, crazy people will make you crazy. Narcissistic people will give you narcissistic traits. Won't necessarily make you a narcissist. But goddamn, the effects of these people are permanent. They are for life, which is why you're seeing so many boomers being gone no contact with. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story, Princess. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email link in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. Follow me on Twitter and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.